the profits that we're seeing or were seeing post-pandemic, during pandemic and post-pandemic, the profits that LVMH was making, that money was coming from individuals making less than $100,000 a year. I'm gonna let that sit with you for a little bit.
Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never ran, said no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Hello, my darlings, it's Dion Dean. Welcome back to another video. We are going to be doing another fashion chat today. Let me get everything ready. I think everything's ready. Yes, everything is ready. So last week, and thank you guys so much, two things. Thank you guys so much for supporting my last fashion chat. I was pleasantly surprised. For me, there has been like a clear delineation between Dion Dean the Thrifter and what she does on YouTube, and then Professor Dean. And so I was very excited that I could put Professor Dean out there and that it would be well received. And so I thank you guys so much for supporting that video on designer versus luxury, or my take on designer versus luxury. And then the Fashion Lab, for those of you that joined the Fashion Lab last week, please forgive me and please show me grace as I grow. I discontinued the Fashion Lab as it was because I have to be honest with you, and that's going to lead us into today's discussion. I do not want to spend 2024 shopping per se. And so I love to go to the sample sales and I love to go to the different stores, but I want to give you guys something more. And so I took that down and we'll be re-releasing a different version of the Fashion Lab based on, you'll see, because I really want to have more like classroom discussions in the lab. I don't want it to be just like bonus content, which is fine. And I probably will be adding bonus content, but I don't want to get in the habit of making it just like bonus content, because I could be in the stores, okay? I could be in the stores. But you guys know, working on my 5-year plan, there's some places I want to get to, especially as I, complete my doctorate. The application is in, so we're just awaiting word. Anyway, so today's discussion is going to be somewhere along the lines of, are you an aspirational customer? And what is happening at these luxury houses, these fashion houses, because of the decline of the aspirational customer? So I'm going to, you guys are now in my classroom, take a seat, and I'm going to go through a few articles to kind of set some groundwork, because I can say that I am an aspirational customer. I want to say most people, if you're watching luxury, let me not say that. If you're someone who enjoys luxury for the clout of it all, can we be real? Okay, if you like the flex, there's probably some reasons behind why you like the flex. Okay, so let's define a few things. This is coming from Business Insider article. This is June 27, 2023. And this was actually something that was in my whatchamahoozy, in my saved files. The aspirational luxury shopper is suffering, but don't expect any deals. And so I was like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on in the world of luxury? And basically this article, I'm going to read the subtext. U.S. consumers earning less than $100,000 a year fueled record profits last year for French group LVMH. So basically, LVMH is making a profit off of those who are making $100,000. Around, I'm going to say, earning less than $100,000. Let me say that again. The profits that we're seeing or were seeing post-pandemic, during pandemic and post-pandemic, the profits that LVMH was making, that money was coming from individuals making less than $100,000 a year. I'm gonna let that sit with you for a little bit. These aspirational customers are now pulling back on spending as pandemic cash reserves run dry. And third point, important as these shoppers are, don't expect to see huge markdowns from Louis Vuitton and Dior. I'm gonna let that sit. It is known that, and this is why to me it's so silly when people talk about rich people shop here, wealthy people shop here, quiet luxury, loud luxury. You cannot tell what somebody is earning or has in there, not even earning. You cannot tell somebody's how many assets somebody has, or how much somebody has in the bank based on how they dress, okay? Because you just can't. You really just can't. So I'm going to read a little snippet. The powerhouse behind Louis Vuitton, Dior, Tiffany, and over a dozen other iconic luxury brands was one of the largest beneficiaries of pandemic era boom, pandemic era boom in aspirational spending from U.S. shoppers earning less than $100,000. Flush with surplus cash, these middle-income shoppers splurged on handbags and perfumes. Okay, so what they're saying is, post-pandemic, individuals that were making $100,000 with us, they probably still had their jobs, right? If they still had their jobs, God bless. If they had their jobs and they were getting the stipend I don't want to call it a stipend, the money that we all got as a country, right? And not even just a country, worldwide, right? Governments were giving their citizens extra money, right? And so these individuals, they were saying, these aspirational customers, they had more cash, and of course people weren't driving, people weren't flying, and so they were at home and they had time to spend, they had money to spend, and they would spend it on luxury, right? Or they were spending it on luxury because they weren't traveling, right? They weren't driving to work, they weren't having to, pay for dinners out and so on and so forth, to schmooze or whatever. So why is that a problem? Because now we're in 2024, and life is getting back to normal. And what they're finding within this article and other articles, what they're finding is that those shoppers are now spending on other items and not spending on luxury. Because, and we're in an election here, so you're going to hear it, the middle class is dwindling, right? And so those in the middle class, and there's a differentiation. I'm going to go through upper class versus lower classes. The middle class, when times get tough, right, and inflation goes up, they pull back on spending because transportation gets more expensive, housing is more expensive, food is more expensive, utilities are more expensive, and because they're at a certain income level, they don't have the subsidies, right? There's no cash back program for electricity when you're making $400,000 a year, right? So what happens is spending lessens because we're spending on other stuff, and now we're not spending on luxury as much, right? And so these brands, these designer brands, they're not depending on the 1%. They're depending on the 5%, the 10%, the 15%. So let's go back. Who is LVMH? Because you're going to be like, I'll be shopping with it. No, yes, you do. So LVMH, just in terms of fashion, the fashion houses, Louis Vuitton, Rimmova, Loro Piana, Fendi, Celine, Givenchy, Pucci, Dior, Kenzo, Marc Jacobs, okay? Kering Group, and that's just the fashion houses. That's not counting the, houses. The drinks. Gucci, this is Kering Group. Gucci, Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta, Balenciaga, Alexander McQueen. Those are the fashion houses, but they have other like jewelry houses. So you're saying, okay, that don't affect me because I make $400,000. What are they talking about? So that article specifically capped it at $100,000. But I want to give you some insight. How much income puts you at the top 1%, 5%, and 10%? The top 1% income-wise, this is not talking about assets, okay, to be in the top 1% based on income, you must earn at least $350,000 in 2022, okay? Now, for those of you that are saying that's a lot of money, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it how I'm going to say it, okay? So I'm in my mid-40s, right? I'm thinking about my friend group. To get to $350,000 a year, and this is why I say you need to when people say rich people do this and rich people, who's rich? Who are you talking about? You talking about the 1%? Because I know some people. If you think about an executive, somebody who's been in the field, again, I'm in my mid-40s, right? So if I graduated in 2001 and I graduated with a degree in civil engineering, 20 years later, me and my partner, she's an architect, I'm a civil engineer. She making about $250. I'm making about $250. That's a $500,000 income, okay? That's the 1%. right? Based on this. Professor Dean, hey, how you doing? Professor Dean and, my husband is this, that, and the other, and we're both making such and such. Okay, we making over 350,000. So when people say rich people do this and rich people do that, you need to quantify what rich is, because, and I've said this to my friends actually, boo-boo, you're rich, right? Based on these numbers, you own your home, right? Because you got your home right out of college. Yeah, I own my home. And then you got that bonus, right? Yeah, I got that bonus. And you make how much a year? And your husband makes how much a year? Oh, yeah, you rich. Shut up. I have said that. Top 5%. To be in the top 5% based on income, you must earn at least $170,000 in 2022. To be in the top 10% of income, you must earn at least $120,000 in 2022. Okay, so let's break this down. Why am I saying this to you? If you are in this space, $350,000, $120,000 to $350,000, these brands are looking for you. And I'm telling you that because when they're raising prices, right, and they're charging crazy amounts and the quality is not there, we are the ones bearing the brunt. And so, a lot of times when I'm doing a video and I'll just say, I know too much, like I know too much to pay full price. Because I know when they're back there doing their calculations, they think about Dion. They're marketing to me. They're not marketing to, I can't even say my superior, because we probably in the same tax bracket, right? If 350,000 is the 1%, they're marketing to you and I. So why am I telling you this? Because, and this is the tagline of my my YouTube channel, Shop Smarter, Dress Better. If you know that the company is basing their profits, and if they're making profit projections based on what you're going to spend, then you need to spend wisely, because they literally are eating off of our backs. My father, this is something he used to say, oh my gosh, probably from like the time that I could talk. He always used to say, Dion, don't let anybody smoke cigars on your behalf. And coming up, and of course, he used to see me buy all these luxury bags and luxury items. I should say designer, not luxury at that time. And like Fendi, I got my nail license at 17, honey. And Miami girls, I shouldn't even say Miami, South Florida girls are force ripe, okay? And so we 17, 18, 19 with a Fendi bag, with a Louis bag, okay, like I'm making money. I'm doing nails. I went to Florida State, but FAMU homecoming, I'm staying up, doing all-nighters, doing nails in Tallahassee. But I say that to say, again, what am I doing at 19? Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. I'm telling you this so that when they talk about aspirational customers, when they're making their sales projections, when they're raising their prices, they're not thinking about that top 1%, because that top 1% can sustain listen, I know some people that are up there, that are in my circle. They're still going to Chanel. They're going to buy an Hermes bag. Like, they're not even, like, it's not even a thing for them. Whereas when we see $1,000 price, we're like, oh. But the other part of that is those people who are in that asset class of having a certain amount of assets, they are not, and I hate to say that rich people do this or wealthy people do this. What I will say about that class of individuals is that they're not buying a bag out of their salary. They're not buying a pair of shoes out of their salary. They're not buying jewelry out of their salary. It's usually from investments. It's from dividends. It's from other sources of income. Whereas individuals in the middle class, based on research, are spending out of their salary, which is why at times of inflation they pull back, because they're paying from a limited amount of money, right? They're paying from a paycheck, and so they're making decisions. Am I going to do X? Am I going to do Y? Am I going to do Z? Whereas if you're at a certain income level, the money that you're making is working for you, so you're not, like, it's not even a thing for you. Does that make sense? Anyway. Yeah, this wasn't really about fashion. This was more of an education. I wanted to have just a conversation on luxury that was different, that was setting your mind right, so that when you go in and you do see an item, that you're purchasing it because you really love it and it's something that you really enjoy, not because it has been marketed to you, not because a brand has said, oh, if you get this, you're going to be seen one way, or if you get this, you're going to be seen that way. And again, I'm for the clout, okay? I love a good flex. I understand that about myself. And so if you think about like with Pharrell at Vuitton, those I'm gonna say it how I'm gonna say it. One of the reasons I believe, this is not fact, okay? This is not fact, and this was an article from Business Insider, so that's what I'm reading from. One of the reasons I believe that the brand, that LVMH picked Pharrell as a creative director, one of the reasons is because he knows his market really, really well. He has been in the men's fashion game for a very long time. Second of all, other than Kanye, I don't think there was anybody else poised to take over after Virgil's passing that understood that male customer, the billionaire boys club customer, that men's streetwear customer, like Pharrell. Pharrell knows retail. Point blank, period. And I say this in the classroom all the time to my designers. Again, I was a professor of retailing and merchandising. I worked with a lot of up and coming designers. And you know, designers are artists. They are true, tried and true artists, honey. But someone who understands retail. Pharrell Williams understands retail. He, if you saw who was in the room, if you saw, you know, there's some behind the scenes videos and who was, oh my gosh, that show, that Western show was larger than life in the way that it spread across the globe, because Pharrell understands merchandising. He understands retailing because he has been in the retail game for over nearly 3 decades, right? And so he understands that you need some bags that is not for everybody, that is for that person. Like some of the bags that we saw, everything's not going to go into production, by the way. You do know that, right? There are items that are going to be, maybe they're going to make 3 in the whole world. And there's going to be somebody that says, I want to be one of those 3. I don't want the bags that everybody else has. Like, leave that for the middle class. Let them have it. Listen, they're saying this. They are saying this. Leave that for them over there. You know, $3,000 for them. I don't want that. Give me that $12,000 bag, darling. Yes, put that, you know, $20,000. I think there was a coat. Oh my gosh, was it $100,000? It was a crystal damier. You guys let me know in the comment section. I don't remember. But there are people that want that, and he's creating that for them. So it's so interesting watching social media and people talk about the pricing and the pricing. He's not designing that for you or I. That damier bag that's in the stores that you don't have to pre-order, that is $3,000. That's for us. Those $12,000 slouchy speedies, that's not for you and I. So yeah, thank you for bearing, thank you for sitting through, not an episode, what do you call it? Not a class. Yeah, thank you for sitting through this class. I appreciate you. And if you enjoy having discussions like this, and this is what I really want to do in the Fashion Lab, because how awesome would it be for us to have a lesson where we're going through articles and we're actually interacting? That's what I'm seeing for the Fashion Lab. I can see it. I'm looking at the different platforms and way that we can do that. But thank you. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. If there's another topic that you'd like to see me talk about or discuss, please leave a comment down below. And if you enjoy this, if you have anything to say about it, and this is not, let me say this is not to shame anybody for spending money. Let's say this, there's no luxury shaming here. Nobody, listen, you spend your money the way that you want to spend money, and there is nothing wrong with celebrating with a bag or with a shoe, or like there's absolutely nothing behind it. The point of this video was so that you know that there are powers beyond us that are marketing these pieces to us, knowing everything about us and kind of poking at those desires to spend, because we are their market, right? We are their bloodline. And so, I just want us to be wise consumers. Definitely, listen, I will never tell a woman or a man how to spend their money. Just be wise. Use wisdom. All right? Have a great one. Bye.
Go, go.